God needs you to do these mitzvahs. It gives God joy that you do these mitzvahs. What do you make of that?
I think it's absolute nonsense. I mean, I think God...
Do you think God has a... If you have a relationship with God, then does that imply an interaction that you can give Him something? Do you feel? Or is He
He's
just
the master of the universe.
Orders?
He created everything. So I don't see that we can really give Him anything aside from be good to each other and to be ethical in our treatments of each other, and I guess to be holy. And I guess God does want us to relate to Him, or He wouldn't have created us. So now I'm kind of contradicting myself.
That's okay.
So if God created human beings with free will who can choose to relate to Him or not, then He obviously does want us to relate to Him. He's given us the choice to relate to Him or not. And so there are many ways we can relate to Him. Study of Torah is one way, and I guess prayer is another. The spontaneous prayer of the heart seems much more viscerally appealing when we speak from the heart rather than just read from the book. But that might be just my Protestant upbringing, where we didn't have a prayer book. We just prayed spontaneously.
There are a lot of interpretations on the nature of the relationship between man and God. One of them is father.
Yeah.
Another one is king. Another one is partner. Yeah. Another one is spouse. Another one is friend. So I think people end up gravitating towards the relationship that they feel more better about.
I tried all of them. None of them worked for me. Like I read
but you have
some prayer. And,
right. No, but you must have some relationship. It could be as the king that just gives all the orders, and you just follow.
Yeah, that's my relationship. Yeah, that's my relationship.
He's the boss.
Yeah, God is judge.
Yeah,
that's
the boss.
one I relate to.
God is judge, and cannot be challenged.
No, he can definitely be challenged.
Because you can't challenge a judge at Superior Court. That's right. So a judge that can be challenged.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely felt less lonely since I came to believe in God as an adult. Like I believed in God as a child, and my late teens I kind of gave that up. That's childish. And then when I came back to God, from that moment, age 22, from that moment on, my life has definitely been less lonely. Because I do believe there's a God who is interested in me and wants me to relate to Him. And particularly when I'm sick and alone and down, I definitely do feel that there's a God who's taking notice, even if it feels like nobody else is.
Yeah.
And I do feel that He wants me to relate to Him and to do my best with the life that He's given me.
So. That was Rabbi Top's big message Sunday morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The deep sort of nourishment and empowerment that you can get from God. And that's what He's there for. He's great. And
it gives you courage. Like
it does.
If everyone's against you, but you feel that you're aligned with what God wants you to do, you have much more courage than if it's just you on your own.
His question number 4 is, am I optimistic about coming here? What's your take on optimism?
Well, we're optimistic in the sense that we believe there's a God who is interested in this world and that has chosen a particular people to be His chosen people, and this people is eternal, and that God has created a world with the potential of goodness. Goodness is latent in creation and in people, and it's our task to bring it out.
One of my biggest challenges is this whole idea of optimism, and I think one thing that gets confused and muddled is you'll see something that has nothing to do with you.
Right.
Not a personal issue.
Right.
So you might be an incredible pro-Israel activist, and you might see the worldwide movement to delegitimize this country that you deeply love, like Israel, and it saps your morale, and it makes you deeply pessimistic, but it's Israel. It has nothing to do with you, really.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with you and your relationship with your children, or your boss, or your friends. And I think one of the sort of, situations we can easily fall into is to let one infect the other. So if I'm a deep lover of Israel, and I often find that, I get pessimistic when I see the reality of what's happening with Israel, and it could quickly slide into me and bring a personal pessimism. And I think one of the things we can work on at Rosh Hashanah is to say it's okay to separate the two. It's okay. I can feel pessimistic about what I see happening with Israel, but it doesn't mean I can't be optimistic about my own life.
Do you get depressed when the Lakers don't make the playoffs?
It's a great question. I wanted to ask you today about football.
Because I get depressed when the Cowboys don't make the playoffs. I do. It really it affects me more than I wish it did. I'm embarrassed.
I'm so embarrassed. It's my only it's
your only vice.
It's my only vice that I will admit to publicly.
Yeah.
Is my obsession with the Lakers.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, my son and I had the greatest summer. See, they like one.
Yeah.
We floated all summer.
And what a great Game 7! They were trailing almost the whole game. They were shooting 30% from the floor.
I watched the fourth quarter 10 times. I still have it on TiVo. Yeah.
Were you there? Were you watching?
No, we had a party in my house.
Ah, okay.
Big party, and some of my friends are not Laker fans. I think after what happened with Kobe, some of the fathers sort of, and it got down to the kids. So it's half and half. And we had a great party. I can't explain my attachment. It's like, are you still with the Cowboys?
Yeah, totally irrational.
Completely irrational.
Totally irrational.
I'm not proud of it. It has absolutely nothing to do with me whatsoever. Nothing. I tried to understand it. Yeah. I think part of it is it's the fact that it has nothing to do with me. That it is something that my son and I bond over, which is great. We love sort of watching it, but it does influence me in the same way that a horrible article on Israel, bad news about Israel will, bring me down. Yeah. Laker championship brings me up. But so we are vulnerable, and maybe one of the things I will try to work on this holiday season is to separate myself from the external. To distinguish between my life and the external. There are differences.
What I think makes Tom Wolfe so great as a novel is that he always situates his characters in their socio-economic context. So he doesn't look at individuals as individuals separated from the external. He looks at we are not who we are just by ourselves. We are who we are because of our context and position in the social and economic stratosphere. Much of who I am is my blog. It's not all of me. So if I was to think, all of me is my blog, and then my blog shuts down, there's nothing left of me. Okay, that's extreme. But a lot of me is my blog. A lot of you is your column and your work on behalf of Jews and Israel. And we are in a context. So I don't think we should strive to separate ourselves from the external world and our happiness because our happiness depends. I think the biggest constituent of our happiness is the quality of our relationships.
Well, I'll give you an example. There's something about being a pro-Israel activist that becomes all-consuming.
Yeah.
And I remember years ago I was having breakfast with this editor, and he was very to the left and I'm to the right.
Yeah.
And I said, there was the time during the bombings of Arafat, Second Intifada. I said, the hidden price that we're paying is that Arafat, not only have we lost 1,000 lives, but he's destroyed 1 million Shabbat tables. I can't tell you how often, instead of doing a Dvar Torah, instead of singing a beautiful song, the issue of politics or Israel comes up at a table. That's an example for me. And by the way, the last few years, I've really made it a point to not let Israel politics infect the mood of a Shabbos table or a holiday table.